smuggling event from earlier this week.
And as he said, I'm Sheriff Ross Teeple with the Pinal County Sheriff's Office. I appreciate you guys coming out today. I think this is very important information that you're going to be receiving, and I think the public would really like to hear about it. Sheriff?
Thank you, Sheriff. My name is Mark Downs, the Cochise County Sheriff. I know many of you here at this conference. So on January 7th, about 10 o'clock in the evening, a collective effort between the Cochise County Sheriff's Department, Border Patrol, Pinal County Sheriff's Department, and multi-task forces received information of a child trafficker trafficking a child from Cochise County that made its way into Pinal County. At about 10 o'clock at night, the Pinal County Sheriff's Department actually made that stop. My interdiction team from my Border Regional Center, many of you have been there, actually responded up to the scene along with Border Patrol that works in our center to identify a child trafficker, to include an 8-year-old that was being trafficked to Phoenix and then beyond. The reason we're having this conference is this is the beginning of something you'll hear more about in the future, but it just tells you the problem we're having when we have humans for profit that are taking children and trafficking them throughout the United States. This is something that just doesn't stay at the border like in Cochise County. It's in our state and beyond. So at this time, I'd like to turn over the details to Sheriff Teeple. Sheriff?
Sure. And you guys heard that right. This was an 8-year-old child that was being trafficked. The sicko that was trafficking him didn't even know his parents, didn't know his family, was just getting paid to bring this boy up to the United States to, we all know, to have horrible things done to him. This is the type of people we're talking about. The cartels realize that they can only sell a fentanyl pill one time, but they can sell a child, a human being, over and over again. I want to thank the heroes from the Cochise County Sheriff's Office, my heroes with the Pinal County Sheriff's Office, and our federal partners for their work on this. We didn't get the information until the trafficker was already into Pinal County. And that's when my deputies rushed down to make contact with the suspect and start to interview the suspect. And one thing I want you guys to see, we're going to be releasing the body camera footage, but the boy was obviously coached in his questions. Someone had prepared him for this type of situation because he was being smuggled into the United States for trafficking reasons. And so when we first made contact with him and the deputy started talking to him, he was giving clearly coached answers. And eventually you'll see on camera that he was relieved once he was able to actually give his real name and tell the deputy what was happening. It's because of this brave hero here that happened. He was able to make the boy comfortable, separate him. He's a canine deputy, so he used all of his resources. He brought the dog out. The boy had the dog, good times playing with the dog, and also they gave him a little bit of free space and a little bit made him feel comfortable where he knew he could talk about what happened.
It's all about saving lives. The partnerships that we have in this state, local, and federal, has made such a true difference when it comes to saving life. And what the example we just shared with you for Sheriff Teeple, myself, and our teams working together for a common goal, and that is to save life. This is exciting news in the fact that we took an 8-year-old that was destined for some real bad things. That this child, we're trying to reunite him with his family and get him into a safe and secure spot back home. And otherwise, that child would be somewhere in the United States today that nobody cares about. We cared enough to do our job. My team come up at 11 o'clock at night. We're out till 3, till 6 o'clock in the morning working with the Pinal County folks and Border Patrol to make sure that we did our job. The suspect in this case is now going to be charged to the federal government process, and this investigation, as I stated before, is not over. I can assure you that. I got a brief this morning, and we're going to continue some things on this investigation. This is only the front door of where we want to go with this.
Sheriff? And what he said is absolutely true. This investigation's not over, and one thing I can guarantee you guys, the cooperation between the Arizona sheriffs and our federal partners is not over, and it will continue, because we need to get these sickos off the street.
Sheriff? Questions?
Know that this was a sex trafficking case?
The driver in this case, the child trafficker, actually admitted that she was getting paid a fee to drive this child. She had no idea who this child was. They had coerced the child, as the sheriff said, a different name. The child was so scared, and you'll see that on the body camera, was so scared. But she admitted she was trafficking the child with her own son in the car, or her own daughter in the car, in the back seat, like this was a family affair. They disguised it that way. But she confessed that she was trafficking children. And that's what she was doing. And she had no idea who the guy was. She's supposed to meet a guy. Kid would be dropped off at that point and then taken to the United States from there. Folks, this is a sad story with a successful ending. It truly is. So that's how we know it's child trafficking. And that's not her first rodeo with law enforcement.
And so she clarified that it was sex trafficking and not
Child
human
trafficking. What the destiny of that child was, we don't know. It was for labor, it was for sex, we don't know. But I guarantee you, it wasn't to go celebrate a birthday party.
As if we're looking at the body cam footage right now, what we're seeing as we're talking, can't you describe what we're looking at if we're looking at the
Absolutely. What, Deputy Sanders, do you have a moment? What you're looking at the body camera footage is this hero doing his job. That's the biggest reason I'm here today, is to just celebrate this win of getting this child rescued, but also to thank the heroes of the Cochise County Sheriff's Office and the Pinal County Sheriff's Office and our federal partners for what they did. But this hero, he's the one that made contact with the child. He's the one that made the child feel comfortable. And I'd like you to explain in your own words, if you have a moment, of what the body camera footage shows.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we made contact with the female and the two children, I spoke with her. I speak Spanish, so I had the conversation with her. And while talking with her, some of her stories just didn't make a lot of sense. So part of what my job is criminal interdiction. And so through some of our training, we engage with people and we watch their reactions to the questions that we ask. And so while we spoke with this female, some of her reactions were things that we looked for deception. And then even talking with the boy, he sounded very coached in his responses. So some of the things that you're going to see on the body cam are me talking to her, and it's usually, I believe it's at the point where we've now discovered through her cell phone, because she gave consent to the agents to look through that, where they found evidence of her smuggling this child. It's me confronting her about her lies. And while confronting her, she finally admits to being paid $500 to bring this boy. She has no idea where she's taking him. She has to wait for information on where she needs to go and who she's going to drop him off to. Hopefully that helps.
Can you say spell your first and last name?
So my name is Greg Sanders. You need me to spell it for you? Okay. Yeah, deputy. Yep.
Debbie, you mentioned that they spoke Spanish.
Yeah.
Nationality, perhaps, is she the suspect resident here?
So no parties are residents of the United States. They are all from Mexico, Hermosillo to be specific. And the boy, we're not totally sure yet. I just know that he is from Mexico. He was born in Mexico.
And what's the process when it comes to trying to find family of that child?
That's above my head. I'm not too sure.
We work with the consulate. They're very, very valuable to us on that, helping us relocate the child back to the family. It's difficult. It's difficult because the trafficker doesn't know anything about the child. So,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, it's the wind picked up.
I apologize. So we work with the consulate on that. They work very well with us. They're a valuable resource to law enforcement. But this is tough because the cartels are completely controlling this child. And granted, they're not going to openly sit down and talk to the sheriff or I and say, hey, this is what happened. This is where the child goes. So this is a tough one. We work with Child Protective Service in that case too to help us until we can find the family of this child. But we guarantee you, we promise you as sheriffs, that we're not going to release this child back to anybody until we know for sure it's a family member. We don't. And I can't get into a lot of detail on that yet because that's where we're going. Our next stage of this investigation, we'll have more for you hopefully next week, but I can share with you that. But this kid's seen more than he should at that age.
You mentioned that this is not obviously the first time this has come through.
Right.
How big of a deal was this? Just because you got this one, how many are not like that?
Sadly, more than we know. I can tell you that, and this ain't our first child trafficking case, but we've taken them all the way to Phoenix and pulled these kids out. We've secured kids, and this is something we do more than we should, sadly, especially in Cochise County. We have a trafficking unit within our Border Region Center. They're very good. In fact, that unit actually spoke to the child that night also. That's what they're trained for. This is just a sad event that we have human beings, criminal cartels, for profit, for a dollar bill, for human life and exploitation of that. And that's where this is sad. That's what we want you, the media, to share that with our public, because we need the public's help in this. We need the public to continue to talk. See something, say something. You see them at a gas station, and you see a child that looks out of place, don't be afraid to call us. I mean, sheriffs in Arizona are all about this. The troopers, our police chiefs, and our federal partners, Border Patrol and HSI, we want to do this together, because every child that we can put back in our custody and find that family, get them back to the family, we have won the battle. We have won piece of the battle, let me say that, because the cartels will continue to profit off children, and we want to stop them.
Deputy Sanders, how big the just your, you know, there's finding drugs and then finding kids. What was this one?
Yeah, so I've been with the Sheriff's Office here at Pinal County. I lateraled from Ohio. I've been here for about 5 years. I've been a part of the criminal addiction unit for about the last 3.5, 4 years. I've found several narcotic loads, human loads, weapon loads on my own as well. This is it is the most rewarding thing that I experience in my career. Nothing can top finding an 8-year-old boy, whether it's a boy or a girl, it doesn't matter, it's a child, right? Finding that child and being able to rescue them from that situation is the most rewarding thing that any law enforcement officer could ever do. So I'm grateful to the sheriffs for allowing us to go out and do our job and to interdict these people, and I'm just grateful that the people from Cochise County called us and had us come over and help them.
Deputy Sanders, when you spoke to that child, what was some of the things that you guys that he told you, or what are some of the things that he expressed?
So he didn't talk a whole lot, but it was the responses that he gave us and the delay in the responses, things that I have an 8-year-old daughter, so when I talk to her, I have a pretty good idea on the things that she knows versus the things that she doesn't know. So when I asked him basic questions, and he was giving me very delayed responses in it, and even just his entire interaction the whole time, he didn't care about her at all. He never tried to go near her. In fact, he was distanced from her for the most part of everything until we separated them. And so those are things that we look for in kids. Do they know who this person is? Are they able to tell me who it is? And it's normal for an 8-year-old child to say, well, that's my mom or that's my grandma. But when you're giving me a name and you can't give me the full name because you're trying to recite it from memory, those are things that tipped us off with the boy. Otherwise, he seemed like he was okay. He was clothed. There were no signs of physical abuse that we saw outward on his hands or anything that was exposed. But he was generally okay. ¿Otra vez? ¿Qué pregunto yo al niño? Ok. He hecho preguntas como, ¿tú sabes el nombre de tu madre? ¿Tú sabes el nombre de esta mujer? ¿Tú sabes dónde vives? ¿Dónde nació? Preguntas así. Y más luego hay otro agente que hizo una entrevista con el niño y durante esta entrevista este agente, no sé cómo decirlo, mientras la conversación, él averiguó que este niño no es el nombre, él tiene otro nombre y averiguó que él es de México y todo eso.
¿Por qué sospechó que era un caso de tráfico?
Bueno, los oficiales de este condado, cuando contactaron los agentes federales, ella tiene una historia de hacer esas cosas como traficando niños y ella es una parte de esta organización. Por eso, y cuando cruzó, solo cruzó con la línea y cuando los oficiales la contactaron, había el niño en el carro también y eso fue raro a ellos y por eso nos contactaron. Yeah, so they found out when they conducted their traffic stop and they tried to find a little bit more information on her, they found out that she does have a history of trafficking. And so that's kind of what raised their attention, and through their conversations, they found out that she had crossed the border with only her and her daughter, but now there was a boy in the car. So that's what raised their suspicion as far as where did this boy come from, why is he with her? She wasn't able to provide those answers. And quite frankly, even when I spoke to her, I asked her outright, what's the boy's name? She gave me a blank, just no answer, blank face, and told me, I don't really know. So that's not something that a godmother wouldn't know of their child, right? Or their godson.
What was the reaction of the boy once
He was happy. Yeah, so I mean, we sat him in our car to keep him warm and keep him separated from the woman and her other child. One of our other deputies, Deputy Jacob Montoya, he gave him some candy. He did some drawings on his computer for him. So just normal things you would do, like what I would do with my kids. He was eating candy. I was talking to him about the candy, just kind of joking with him. Then I brought my dog out. I let him see my dog. I asked him if he wanted to pet the dog, and he was in good spirits. He was saying, "Oh, that's a cool dog." He didn't want to pet the dog, but he was okay.
Could the dog sense there's something your canine can sense
Uh,
from the boy?
Yeah, so my canine is he's a narcotic detention dog and an apprehension dog, so we wouldn't use him for anything like that. I just brought him out as a consult. Hey, it's okay, everything's okay. Do you want to see my dog? Generally, kids like seeing dogs, so.
Cases like this, how do you differentiate in the investigation whether it is trafficking for sexual purposes or to get that child into the country and perhaps be with another family?
This is not an immigration issue. This is saving a child issue. Whether the child came from the front yard of your house or it came from another country, this child was being trafficked by a woman who didn't know his parents, didn't know the final destination of the child, and didn't know what was going to happen to the child. This is, point of fact, guys, this is a kidnapping case. It's child trafficking, but it is a kidnapping case. If someone took a child from your neighbor's front yard, we would want you to call us. If you see something suspicious in a gas station where you think, hey, this child doesn't seem to really meet up with this family, seems to be distant from the family, that's when we want you to call us. We want to keep the children safe.
I will say this to you on the follow up with the sheriff is we see kids rarely in my county, but we'll see them. Some relatives with them. A mom's always with them. To find an 8-year-old staged with another child that they don't even know each other, and based on what the deputy was saying, that's all about trafficking. That's not smuggling. That child has no consent to get in that car and do this. This child was being exploited. And let's not forget, the criminal cartels are the ones profiting on this.
Cool. Let's wrap this up so that we can get that video out to you guys. I'll send out a release with the details, specifics of what actually, sort of more of a timeline. And JD is going to get the video. I'll send a Google Drive link to whoever I blasted this morning. So thanks for coming out.